All right, what's good, everybody? Welcome in another full day of content. I am the coach. This is the Coach and Company podcast. You can view it every single day on YouTube or social media. X, Elon Musk, they're really trying to get X as a platform where full-blown production is done. So we are leaning into that as well. So you can watch us here every single day. It's never more than 20 or 30 minutes. We support the morning show. If you missed any of Coach and Company this morning on Stadium, you can catch the show in its entirety on our Coach and Company YouTube page. Hit that like button while you are in there. And also, if you could share, it really helped that platform grow. Our BTT page is really growing fast. Coach and Bro, really growing fast. You can catch that show from Monday on demand. We will not have a show on Christmas for Coach and Bro, but we will have a show here for Coach and Company. All right, we are getting down to the final 2 weeks, and the NFL continues to prove why they are the clear number one most popular sport in the country, and it's not close. So last night, just to put a bow on Week 16, the San Francisco 49ers are starting to prove that they are the best team in the NFC. And I say that because Brock Purdy has missed many games this year. In fact, I believe he's missed 8. Mac Jones came in and proving you have to have a legitimate backup. All of these salaries for backup quarterbacks are going to go up because of this year. Think about if the 49ers did not have Mac Jones. Think about if the Patriots had never let Mac Jones leave because they got Drake May. You've got to be able to evaluate. If you're Kyle Shanahan, you said, man, we've got to have 2. Every team has to have 2. So now Mac Jones was able to keep them relevant, and now they're on a really, really impressive winning streak. In fact, when we look at it, 5 games in a row. Their last loss was to the LA Rams in LA, 42-26, all the way back on November 9th. So they haven't lost in a month and a half. And last night, when you think about what Brock Purdy did, we never talk about Purdy in the elite quarterback range. When he got his new contract, it's because, well, they had to. Man, my allergies lately. Are your allergies? Normally mine are in April or May, but man, they're kicking right now. Brock Purdy is just a guy that gets the job done. And when you start to compare him against flashier quarterbacks like a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen or a Lamar Jackson, he never gets brought into that conversation. But he got $200 million plus. He got his bag. He's got a really good agent because whatever his relationship is with Toyota, last year buying 10 trucks for his linemen, this year buying for families who are battling health needs, former military. I think it was another 10 Toyota trucks. So whatever that deal is, super, super smart for both companies. The Rock's done it with his deal with Ford, where you negotiate in saying, hey, you know, I want to get 5 or 10 thrown into this deal that I can give away at my leisure. It's a great way to do it. Doesn't cost Ford or Toyota really anything when you're talking about how many millions of cars that they sell every year. So Brock Purdy, the ultimate babyface. Last night, Kyle Shanahan is such a great head coach because he also is a great offensive mind. They have good weapons, not great weapons. Well, they have one great weapon, and that's CMC. Then they got a really good weapon in George Kittle. Somehow Kyle Shanahan, in the way that he does his offense, these guys are always open. Here are the numbers from last night against the Colts. They win 48-27. Shout out, though, to Phillip Rivers, just getting the team to 27. They had this thing tied at 14 in the second quarter. The first half over came in. A bunch of overs came in last night because the Colts numbers were low because they really didn't do very much against Seattle. But they came out last night, and Phillip Rivers had it humming, at least for the first half, before they just got overwhelmed in the second half. So Brock Purdy, 25-34, 295, 5 touchdown passes. He also ran, he didn't run for a touchdown. So 1 interception, not a touchdown. CMC, Christian McCaffrey, 21 carries, 117 yards. He had a 24-yard rush, so his longest rush came in, I believe it was at 14 and a half, 15 and a half, something like that. George Kittle, 7 catches, 115 yards. 1 touchdown. McCaffrey, by the way, didn't score on the ground, but he had 6 catches, 29 yards, and 2 scores. This guy's a weapon. He's one of the few running backs, him and Saquon, that when they get their big bag, or when they got their big bag, because they both, have them now, nobody balked. And in this day and age with running backs, everybody balks. The teams balk. Well, that guy, he's 27. He's washed up. He's 28. He's washed up. Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley live, eat, breathe football. They never stop training. Some of the videos are insane. We never think about players and being in shape because that's what they're paid to do. When they show up on Sunday, we're not supposed to see all of that work from June, July, training camp. But if you come in out of shape, best believe you're going to get exposed. CMC never does that, despite the injuries. And because part of the reason he's been injured so much is the way that he runs and how physical he is. And he never runs away from contact. Hopefully that'll change a little bit in the next couple of years. But right now, San Francisco, they are alive and kicking. So as we look forward, the Seattle Seahawks are 12-3. So right now they are the number 1 seed in the entire NFC. But here is the cool thing if you're an NFC West fan. You've got 3 teams that are already qualified for the playoffs. That's great. But the 49ers at 11-4, the Rams at 11-4, but the 49ers control their destiny. If they win out, they will be the number 1 seed because of all of the tiebreakers. I see Big Cheesy. Oh, Fred Warner. So if you're listening right now, check out Fred Warner's rehab video. I did see a little bit, Big Cheesy, of that. Fred Warner is arguably, when he's healthy, the best linebacker in football. You could argue that. Certainly the best leader in football. So go check that out because I love videos like that. I've said many, many times that one of the great moments that I ever had in the WWE was when Triple H, and I was there for both nights, when one of the great physical feats I've ever seen was he was wrestling a match and he tears, and he had gigantic legs. So this muscle is huge. He tore the entire quad muscle off of the bone. Think about that for a second. The entire quad muscle off the bone. And so he disappeared. He went down to Birmingham. They go to a place called Dr. James Andrews, who back in the day when he was still working, he was the guy. He's now, he's very much older now. But he trained several doctors to take over his practice. But this is how in demand this doctor was. You can't schedule anything with him. What do I mean by that? He only does emergency surgeries and emergency care on high-level athletes in every sport. NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, WWE. If somebody got hurt, straight to Birmingham, and you go straight into surgery. That's how in demand this doctor was at one time because of freak injuries, or like Patrick Mahomes. He had to get surgery the next day. You can't schedule that. You didn't know. Now, I don't think he went to the Andrews practice, but there's more and more high-level surgeons that are starting to do that. And when Triple H rehabbed, they had a TV crew there, and they basically just shot his rehab for the last 4 months of the 9-month process. So when he came back at Madison Square Garden, it was one of the most emotional things I've ever seen in my life. And it's why I love wrestling. It's why I love sports, the emotion of it all. You can't get that anywhere else. And when he came out, after everybody had been watching those videos for 3 or 4 weeks, it felt like an eruption. It felt like when you say, oh, the ground was shaking. We thought the roof was going to, blow off the place. That's what it legitimately felt that way. It was incredible. Absolutely incredible. All right. So today on the show, if you missed it, we started to look forward to week 17. And I love how the NFL has started to do their scheduling, where you have a lot of divisional games. You've got Seattle and San Francisco in week 18. So I think they really got tired of just throwing the schedule out and having random games on week 18 that meant nothing, and a lot of players wouldn't play. It just wasn't a good look for anybody, advertisers, anyone, ticket sales, all of that. So this week alone, now I understand that the seasons didn't play out the way that people wanted them to. But when they did the schedule, it made sense. So Christmas Day, you got Dallas, Washington. Makes sense when they made the schedule. Detroit, Minnesota. Makes sense. They were both playoff teams a year ago. Denver, Kansas City. It made complete sense. But Kansas City hasn't had the year they wanted to have. Denver very much alive for the number 1 seed. But they just got handled at home by Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville could be the best team nobody's talking about. And then you look at some of the matchups. Saturday, 2 matchups, both playoff implications. Houston, LA Chargers. Baltimore, Green Bay. You can't get any better than that. You can't. And then as we go into Sunday, look at some of these matchups. You've got Seattle and Carolina. Both teams playoff are in their future. Carolina has a 1-game lead over Tampa. This is vital because they played Tampa in week 18, and they just beat them a couple days ago. You've got Jacksonville, Indianapolis. Makes sense on paper. Love it. Pittsburgh's playing Cleveland. The Browns played the Bills to 3 points last week. So that is certainly no look ahead if you're Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. Philadelphia and Buffalo. Are you kidding me? We get that week 17? Thank you, NFL. Thank you. This is what I'm talking about. Now, don't sleep on the last Monday Night Football of the season either. Rams traveling to Atlanta. And you're like, well, Coach, that sounds like a yawn fest. Falcons 6-9. But wait a second. Because as you look a little bit deeper, the Falcons have won 2 in a row. The Falcons were down 14 to Tampa Bay on Thursday Night Football 2 weeks ago. They scored 15 straight, including a 2-point conversion to win the game. The Bucs are just stumbling to the finish line. What are we doing, Baker Mayfield? What are we doing? So then the Falcons, they go to Arizona last Sunday, and they beat Arizona 26-19. So Kirk Cousins and this team, they're not a rollover. Not by a long shot. So the Rams have to show up this Monday. So my point is I love when leagues where they're proactive. I like when leagues decide, hey, how do we give the fans the best games, the latest in the season? Around the holidays, you're always going to have the Thursday games, the Saturday games, but let's just not throw random games out there. Let's make it make sense, and let's make it exciting. And I think that's what we're starting to see with at least the NFL. And then now as you look at the NBA tonight, 14 games, NHL, 14 games. And the reason I bring all of this up is that, I do a lot of pro wrestling content, and I grew up in an era where you didn't miss shows. We did, and it's not like I'm going to die on this hill because it's pro wrestling and I'm not inside the WWE. I'm not inside AEW, but I have 2 high-profile pro wrestling shows. So I get paid for my opinion. And in my opinion, wrestling's different. And one of the narratives that has been coming out is that Triple H, who is the head of creative, and everybody says, well, he took over for Vince. Yeah, he really didn't. Vince had 2 jobs, CEO and head of creative. Nick Khan is doing the business stuff. Triple H is the creative. But he's the one that the talent talks about all the time. Man, it's awesome. We're not out there on the road, 52 weeks times 4 days. Over 2, people love to say 250 days a year. It was close. But most of the time it's 4 days a week. You throw in that 5th one for travel, that's 250. That's the world I grew up in. Over 10 years, I missed 1 Monday night. 1. The WWE has taped 3 of their 4 shows so that the talent can be home for the holidays. I live in the world of, you guys watch Coachman, bro, of WWVD. What would Vince do? Because that's who, and you don't have to sit here and insult him and say, we know what's done in the past. I just talk about him in these stories because he was there. He was the boss. He was the guy. So I'm not going to, shy away from and eliminate him from the stories. And he taught us that in wrestling, or at least this is the world he created, that you can't have reruns. You can't have tape because it will lead to less viewership. And if you really want to make a show with surprises, then it's got to be live. Well, they have moved away from that because Vince McMahon no longer is with the company. So you got 3 out of 4 tape shows, the Mondays and Fridays. So we already know last night what happened on Monday Night Raw. But the biggest and probably the most fun I ever had was the week right after Christmas, because we would always travel and do 4 or 5 shows in between Christmas and the New Year's holiday. When I was dating my kid's mother, very early on, we had a show on December 30th. I flew to Iowa to surprise her for New Year's. It was awesome. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if we wouldn't have been out on the road doing house shows. And you're like, well, Coach, does anybody come? Are you kidding me? Think about it. All the kids are out of school. So on a Tuesday night, a Wednesday night, a Thursday night, they can go. All those things, great Christmas gifts, great stocking stuffers. Those shows were the most fun. And for those of you that either watch my stuff or watch pro wrestling, to me, a lot of the product is kind of waning because they don't have those house shows. Imagine whatever your job is at home, that you only do it once a week. How good are you really at it? If I only did these shows once a week, would I be as good at it? No, because you wouldn't have the reps. Even as long as I've done it, I still need the reps every single day. And when you're not wrestling and when you're north of 40 years old, cardio goes first. And then when your cardio goes, the intensity and working snug, that follows. So the lazy punches, bad. And that's something that, for whatever reason, TKO doesn't care about. They care about the business side. But you need the great wrestling to go with the business side. So it's going to be a fascinating 2026, I think, in sports here at the brand. I feel like this has been a nice runway for us. It's hard to believe January 27th is when we launched Coaching Company of 2025. The growth that we have seen has been awesome. Being on Stadium has been awesome. The Coach and Bro Show, I never could have imagined the growth on that page. And I think part of the reason that you guys are finding us is because we're authentic. We're not here to bash anybody, but we're also honest. If we see something we love, we're going to say it. We see something we don't like, we're going to say that too. And I think we're starting to turn Coaching Company into that as well. Give me an opinion, good, bad, or indifferent. If you're in the chat, give me an opinion. That's what people want. You want to be able to go back and forth respectfully. But everybody's got an opinion, and sports is the great tool where you can give your opinion and then respect somebody else's. That's what we're trying to build. And now that we're approaching a year, I think what we have in store ahead for both brands. And then don't forget about my SiriusXM show. That's the one I really enjoy doing as well. So it's awesome to be on these really big platforms. And then also we're still going to be with the PGA Tour this year. So my point is we're going to be very busy. We're going to grow, hopefully bigger platforms, more views, but it starts with the content. It starts with the content. So thank you guys so very, very much. We will be back tomorrow with the podcast. We won't have the podcast on Christmas Day, but we will have a morning show, Coaching Company, on Christmas Day to preview the NFL and preview the NBA. In the meantime, that'll do it for now. I will see you guys this afternoon at 2 o'clock Eastern Time on SiriusXM Channel 156 on Off the Ropes. For Producer Man behind the scenes, I am the coach. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the Coaching Company podcast. Take care.